Morning as we begin our week anew this Monday morning to look ahead to our scriptures for this upcoming Sunday. We are skipping forward in the Gospel of Matthew this week. We were in chapter 16 last week, and we mentioned it continues into the Transfiguration, but none of our readings this week come from chapter 17. We start in chapter 18. That's preceded by some verses about a temple tax in chapter 17. When they came to Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma tax went up to Peter and said, "Does your teacher not pay the tax?" He said, "Yes." When they came into the house, Jesus spoke to him first, saying, "What do you think, Simon? From whom do kings of the earth take toll or tax? From their sons or from others?" When he said from others, Jesus said to him, "Then the sons are free. However, not to give offense to them, go to the sea and cast a hook and take the first fish that comes up. When you open its mouth, you will find a shekel. Take that and give it to them for me and for yourself." That leads into our verses from chapter 18. We are verses 1 through 20, so it's a long one this week that covers several different things. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus saying, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And calling to him a child, put him in the midst of them and said, "Truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. But whoever causes one of these little ones to believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world for temptations to sin, for it is necessary that temptations come, but woe to the one by whom the temptation comes. And if your hand or foot causes you to sin, cut it off, throw it away. It is better for you to enter life crippled or lame than with 2 hands or feet to be thrown into the eternal fire. If your eye causes you to sin, tear it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye and with 2 eyes to be thrown in the hell of fire. See that you do not despise one of these little ones. For I tell you that in heaven their angels always see the face of my Father who is in heaven. What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep and one of them has gone astray, do not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search. Does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? If he finds it, truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that never went astray. So is it not the will of my Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish? If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take 1 or 2 others along with you, that every charge may be established by evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. If he refuses to listen even to the church, let him say to you as a Gentile and a tax collector, "Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Again I say to you, if 2 of you agree on earth about anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I among them. This continues in chapter 18 with the parable of the unforgiving servant. The one who, rather than read it, since we had a long reading today, just in summary, it's the parable where the master forgives his servant his debts, and the servant, anxious about what he owed, goes out and demands payment from all who has owed him money. And of course, looking upon our own sin, how great forgiveness we have, that we ought also to forgive others. Looking at chapter 18 in full context, we can see the seriousness that the Lord places upon sin, both in temptation, that we would not cause anyone else to sin, but also be wary of temptation upon ourselves, and also in others, that especially as the body of Christ, we're to watch out for one another and keep each other in the faith and ways of the Lord. But there is good order and process as we guide each other in that. Sin is serious, and we hear if anybody sins against you, how we are to respond. This passage from Matthew 18 is talked about a lot in circles of clergy. It's kind of a trope that Matthew 18 is thrown out because it's one of the commandments we break the most frequently. When we disagree with somebody, when we have a problem with somebody, we would much rather go to a third party and complain about that other person rather than go directly to the person, and if they will not hear it, then bringing somebody else along and steadily involving more and more people, going to the source and dealing with sins or problems or difficulties in person than working around and complaining behind people's backs. It's a great challenge upon us. But altogether, we see in chapter 18 the seriousness of sin upon our lives. But then near the end, the greatness of the forgiveness of God and the encouragement to have a posture of forgiveness towards others as well. Take this word and use it readily in your lives this week as we go out from here. Go in peace and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.